Back of the church.
Yeah, I don't want the back of the bus, the back of the room. I want you like,
That's the same
you know.
people, sit at the same table every time.
I know.
She's
I
scary.
thought-
Oh, and now you're getting real booked.
There you go. My backside's my better side anyway.
That's like front row.
Yeah.
Kevin,
On the other side
If
without.
I end up sick, we all know why.
here we go. Here we go. All right, let's get started. As always, we start with bucket fill, something good. Who wants to start? This is never gonna go away in the meeting. I like Melanie's face right now. She's like, well, I'm always good right now.
He's here, but he's not in here yet. So I was down in Florida this weekend and Alex Randall showed a property for me. He always does such a great job when he does that. So wherever he is, thank you, Alex Randall.
Saw him walking
Yeah, he's here somewhere.
somewhere. Awesome. Heather,
I'll bucket fill Eric. I just thought he's always been very helpful and the stuff he provides is very knowledgeable. And I've heard some of the agents have reached out to him and he's always been very responsive and very helpful.
I would agree with
Very
that.
knowledgeable.
Thank you. What else? What else is good?
I'll bucket fill Eric over there. He got me some information for
Look at you today.
Clear today, all right.
for sale by owner, basically some rate and payment information that they could use, so I can circle back and ask them how it went.
Awesome. Super cool. It's really nice to have a resource there and it also allows good relationships. What else? What else is good? I mean, if not, we just turn this into like a cool therapy session because everything's bad.
Lakes are freezing.
Come on, two more.
Outdoor rinks are friendly. Oh, my kids can't use it. This is too cold.
I know you guys feel awkward. I don't.
Well, Delta Airlines for taking me somewhere warm this week.
Heather really feels awkward. She's like, I'm gonna get 2 bucket fills this meeting. You gotta have something good. I know you wanna say something, correct?
I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of good momentum going into this year. So yeah,
What do you think that shift is? Are you saying for you personally or in the market?
everything. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I was telling my buyers, I was like, I think it's gonna start to heat up end of January, and then like January 2nd, like I feel like showings exploded and all that stuff. So
I've heard that a lot. I've heard that a lot from people. Is that the feeling across the board? Oh, so there are good things happening in your life. Okay, just checking. We'll move on.
Just come through my
All right, so this is our January training calendar.
one.
Today, we have the condo certification as well as tomorrow. If you're not there, I think you have to be there both days. Tonight, we have the R&R. Rick, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's right across the street. Obviously, you can just drive right over to Ridgedale. It's right there. We have great conversations, lots of things happen, where you connect with people. Today, the conversation is gonna be, directed around why we would sell off market and why we would buy off market and how we do that. So there's a lot of that happening right now because obviously people are listing houses that are not going on now. But there's an opportunity to sell them now and an opportunity to find out about them and get them purchased. So.
Awesome. I love that topic. MRE Book Club, that's actually an international class that's getting taught. So if you are reading the MREA, have read the MREA, last week's was a really great session. I think there's a few of you that are going to that. If you want more information, I believe Candy sent it out, but also just come out and reach out to us. It's an hour. And Jen Lewis is the one that does that. And I think it's 3 to 4, is that correct? 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. We have contracts for deeds and assumable loans next week. Our collective team meeting is here next Wednesday, so that will be in place of this team meeting. And then we have some really fun tax strategies on Thursday and short sales next week, along with a regional event. So there will not be a team meeting, the shift workshop, as all the leadership will be doing the regional events on Tuesday and Thursday, or on Wednesday. Any questions regarding this? And if you're new to the office or have not looked at this calendar, when it's sent to you, you can actually click on the class, maybe besides the regional stuff, and actually sign up for those classes or get information on it. So it works really well. What is this?
This was sent
I'm
out.
like- I look at Candy and I'm like, what is this? Explain this, Candy.
So this was sent out from the collective. It's not, it's beyond like the collective. It's a big call, but so they just, it's sponsored by American Incentive Advisors. And it's for certain people who, I have to read it here. During the COVID, may be entitled to some money if you had so many days, where you were working or lost work, and if you are, if you were self-employed. So it might not pertain to you. I don't know. It's not something that we in particular are putting on. I just wanted to make everyone aware that, it is a call that you can join.
Thank you, Candy.
So.
I was like, that's a lot of words on there.
I sent an email about it yesterday, so you can read more about it, and then there's a link in there that you can click on to see if it's something you want to join.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so next week is the collective team meeting. Again, if you are new to the office, our operating principal has 4 market centers. It's Lake Minnetonka, it's Minneapolis Lake, it's Edina, and Elk River. So every 4th week of the month, our operating principal and our general manager run a meeting. So all of the offices are welcome to go to whichever office it's actually at. This month it's at our office, so we'll have a little bit of food afterwards. I am not sure what the topic is, but it's usually something pertaining to the market, and some different challenges that are happening. And then, other international type information gets brought in at that time too. Any questions around that? Awesome. This was the regional event. So not only is it a regional event, we also have one of our very own agents out of the Minneapolis Lakes office who is teaching that. And it's essentially getting you through, it's almost a shift book, right? But it's condensed into a day training. So if you feel like, okay, I'm not used to a market that might be different than when I got in, this is absolutely a great class just to kind of bulletproof your business. I believe it's $59.
Yeah.
Okay. Our annual award ceremony, which I know everyone's super excited about, is going to be on Wednesday. So it's going to be on the day of the team meeting. However, we will be doing kind of an hors d'oeuvres, and I know last year we had that huge charcuterie board. That's what we'll be doing. So it'll be easier for you to come in, chat with people, grab some food, and then the awards will start at 1 p.m. And then, you know, maybe we'll go hang out at happy hour afterwards, and then you can take your Valentine out for dinner.
Why do you sound drunk to?
Any questions around that? And there's Scott, chatting. Where is she today, by the way? Any questions around that award ceremony? Awesome. It's gonna be fun. Family reunion, we kind of talked about this a lot last week. If you sign up, let me know. Otherwise, if you still have questions around this, feel free to reach out after the meeting and we can kind of go over that. I think we kind of talked about the benefits of going to family reunion this year. It is in Vegas as well. All right, we have some new faces in here. So we have Molly and Mandy. If any of you are in here and want to say anything, feel free to introduce yourself. It's like there's one of you in here. Well, welcome. Again, when you see, the reason we do this is you see new faces, right? And you're always asking like, who is this? Or what's going on? Always introduce yourself because you know that you were the newbie at one point in time, and it's sometimes scary when there's a whole group of us. So welcome. And again, we're always happy to help any of us that are in here. Is Shane in here?
No, he's not gonna be here.
Are we doing this? Are we doing
Yeah.
this? Okay. Okay.
I had him set up there, so now I just have to like put it together.
Okay. I'll let you present it.
Okay. So I talked to Shane yesterday and he wanted to pass this award on to Roy. And oh, good, it's up there. Roy is consistently at the office and doing the work. And he sets a good example for others at the office. So this
That's
is
where I've been trying to get
Roy
Royce
is
on the phone.
And Royce is still lead generating, so he's not in.
But Royce is
Awesome.
one of our commercial agents here, and he really is a great resource, for commercial information. He's been with us for some time, and, he's always here lead genning and, working hard in that office.
Yeah, I don't think you see him out of that office often, not working unless it's like
To get coffee.
coffee, yeah, like something, a very short time period. Otherwise, he's back in there. So that was well deserved. Awesome. All right, so we are gonna go through December numbers. So in regards to that, if there's ever any mistakes, we're all human. Let us know and we will get it changed. I know the one question is always for listings. So in regards to the listings, it's a signed listing and active on the MLS. So a lot of times people will be like, hey, I signed 6, but they weren't active yet. That's why. That's where these numbers come from. So again, if you have any questions or you feel like there's discrepancies, just let us know. And because we're going through numbers, it is always nice for us all to clap, right? Because it feels fun for people to acknowledge your accomplishment. So going forward, we start with individual agents usually first, and I think we also have a capper this month. So Jeff Stedman is our. And then top individuals, listings taken is Amy Black and her listings taken. Top individuals for closed is Colleen Schultz at 1.1. Behind, we have Colleen Schultz. All right, so for top teams, we have listings taken. We have the Strobel Group with 2. All right, so top teams closed volume. We have the exceptional home team at 1.5. So we closed GCI, the exceptional home team has the number 1. All right, top groups, listings taken, you have the Homers Group with 12. Listings taken volume, we have the Homers Group at 5.3. All right, top groups with closed volume in December, we have Homers Group at 7.8. Closed GCI, we have the Desert Property Twin. That's cool for December to see everything over 1 million for closings. I mean, it was a strange December. So for the commercial group, we have listings taken, KW Commercial Envision with 3. Closed volume, we have the KW and then closed GCI, we have Stedman, KW Commercial. All right, so this is always a fun conversation. So does anyone remember what we talked about last month?
Oh,
Rachel?
By February, we're being positive.
No,
February's numbers.
March.
Yep, which would be in March, we're gonna be positive. So it just so happens that we have 4 positives this month, which we have not had any in the last, I mean, quite some time, quite honestly, just where the market was at. So as we're going through it, closed units, this is us comparing to the MLS and then our area. And our area is down here, is just kind of what's around our particular market center. So obviously our market center sells outside of that, but it's just kind of keeping that close just for reference. Our office is down by 8.4%. The MLS is down 15.6%, and then our area is down 11%. This is a huge number to watch, right? So as we're talking about units, I think the biggest thing is we're seeing a shift in volume. And also I think last year, a lot of people were talking about, oh, I had a great year for volume and their units were way down, right? Or they just weren't tracking that. And a lot of the same business owners are saying, this year I have to track units. Right, Rick? I mean, it's taken, but I mean, to be fair, right? We've talked about volume for a long time and you're shifting kind of that mindset to units of like, what does it have to look like this year? Because the one thing we can control is units. We cannot control volume as much as we want to.
Which includes making sure that you got the percentage above that. For those that just might not sell or might not work out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
right? So you
Yep.
gotta know that, right?
Well, because I mean, to be fair, we didn't have a lot of fallout unless it was buyers, right? Like, but listings, I mean, you listed a property, most of them sold in the last 3 years. So just making sure that we know what those. Closed volume, we are down 13%, the MLS is down 14%, and our area is down 4%. So we're tracking a little bit more with the MLS on that, and our area is obviously outpacing us on volume. In regards to listings taken though, we are up 6%, our MLS is down 9%, and the area is down 3%. I mean, when you look at those numbers, December, I wouldn't say was the month that we were killing it as a market center, but what's going on with this piece, right? Because we've had higher months with listings taken. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
Do you feel like you're taking more listings right now? Do you feel like I give some head nods? Yeah? Okay. And then listings taken volume, we're up 4%, the MLS is down 4%, and then our area is actually up 8% for volume. Who wants to speak to that?
I
Rick?
just have a question. So just to clarify, the contracts written, that like listings taken, are those just like our numbers before? Are those only active listings or are those contracts that have been submitted that are withheld?
They're active because it's pulled through like our lore report.
Okay, so
So
obviously this time of year, people are signing tons of
Yep.
listings and
Yep,
they're not active, you
Yep.
know, so that's another consideration. That
Yep.
number's off quite a bit.
yeah.
That's why people are saying, yeah, we're taking listings. Well, I've got 5 of them that don't go on until February, you know?
No, and that's fair. And I mean, that's also when you think of like the numbers and where we wanted to be positive, was kind of that February, March time. So, no, that's fair. Great question.
The volume based on the listing things versus the volume within this time of the year, something really. Okay, and so a couple of. And volume category.
And for the area.
Yeah.
My other question on that is like the relist, right, for new construction. Doesn't that usually happen around when these numbers have been coming in, like the cancel relist potentially? Okay. Listings sold, we're down 5.5, the MLS is down 15.6, and the area is down 11%. Still outpacing it, right? That's still a negative number, and we talked about that, but we're still outpacing both of them. Listings sold volume, we're down 10%, MLS is down 14%, and then going back to volume, kind of in line with listings taken volume. The area is at negative 4.3. I think that my favorite number out of all this is contracts written, right? So we're at we're up 3.8%. The MLS is down 11.5%. and then our area is actually down 7.7. Why is this number important?
We're working.
That'll reflect next month or
It will
the
reflect-
months prior or.
It will reflect going into, right, the new year. Some will be in February, some might be new construction, some might be in March. But that just leads to more and more positives in all of the other numbers, with those contracts written. And then, contract written volume is up 5%, the MLS is down 8%, and our area is up 1%. Does this seem like what you're feeling in the market right now or experiencing? Do we need to stand up and do some like jumping jacks? Cause I am all in. Everyone is very quiet right now.
I think next month it's gonna, reflect what I kind of mentioned earlier, how like at the beginning of January, like more showings and more people coming to open houses, like there was just way more consumer, activity, like buyers were out.
Well, who's had or is going to have closings in January? Okay, so a little less than half of the room, right? So I mean, those numbers also reflect in what January's numbers are right now. I mean, just in regards to if I was to look at our numbers as a market center, the numbers are down for January. It seems really normal with most Januaries besides the first 2 years of COVID. But there was definitely a shift in what closings look like for January. And I think we go back to that lead gen conversation. You had to be lead genning at least 3 months ago for January to happen.
Be safe to say this reflects the consistency and what you just kind of said, the lead gen in the third quarter and another fourth quarter.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And I think we started talking about kind of, hey, my pipeline isn't as flush with new buyers or sellers. Everyone started hitting the phones again or connecting with their sphere or actually, being intentional on whatever it is, social media, emailing, and it's starting to pick up again. And I think Shane, if he was in here, he's like, I haven't had, well, Tony, you can speak to it. I mean, he had nothing in the pipe. I mean, he was actually concerned. Like there was a little bit of like, okay, where are my clients at? And he had what, 6 referrals or 8 referrals last week or 2 weeks ago, and it just turned. And it was like, the consistency of the lead gen.
Checks out every year. It's just the exact same.
I love how he's not here to defend himself at all. He freaks out the
He's
same.
not, but he'll say the exact same, he'll say it.
Okay. So is it safe to say it's seasonality then, or is it really activity?
No, it's seasonality.
Okay,
Because his activities he's the most consistent
and
agent.
not just him, I'm saying like everybody.
Well, his behavior though, of any agent I've ever met, he is the most consistent lead gen.
Okay.
He does it every day. And he's in there the same amount of time.
Okay.
Not always the same exact amount of contacts, but
Which is never, I mean,
very consistent and
Okay.
I watched his sales with the market. And he's crazy busy in the spring and summer and sometimes in the fall.
interesting. What about for other people? Is it the actual lead genning? Is it seasonality that you're feeling? Is it the market?
I think it's all lead gen.
It's all lead gen?
For us, it's all lead gen.
Okay.
Most of our closings in January went under contract in December.
Okay.
So it wasn't like, for us, it was all fourth quarter. Like if you were working over the holidays, it showed up.
Okay. Well,
I'm always surprised at how few people grab the open house opportunities in the office. Cause that was our number 2 source of business this in 2023. And
you're like, I'll take them.
Well, no, I want to jump on that right away. I was gonna voice and say, if anybody needs someone to do an open house,
Yeah.
like, give me a call. I get a lot of my business out of open houses and right now our supply I see is dry. So if you got somebody and you need someone to fill in, give me a shout.
you just need
Awesome.
one buyer.
Yep.
I'm really tired of people saying on our team, they don't work. when clearly they do, because it was our number 2 source of business last year.
That open houses don't work?
Yeah, and we did an open house on a Maple Grove listing. We had 4 people come through. One of them was unrepresented and we did both sides.
I've heard more unrepresented clients coming in to open houses in the last especially year of picking up new clients from it. Scott?
Let's speak open house, that unrepresented, so Jeff and I both did open houses on big houses, we got a 3.5 million, I got a 2.2. Last 2 weeks, we did both open houses, and in both open houses, we had a minimum of 8 in each one.
Yeah.
And 0 of that agent. 0.
That wouldn't be a bad buyer to pick up.
Danielle?
I also do like a lot of open houses, and I have a listing in Crystal right now, and I had 19 people total come through last week, and when I did an open house, and I kind of felt like COVID again, where it was crazy busy in open houses, so I definitely do think that they're picking up, and I did get 2 leads from it as well, so definitely think it's a great way to get business right now.
So they work. Rick?
2 other things, I think. One, the reason why we're seeing so many unrepresented people is because of this time of year. You know, there's more buyers and sellers that are kicking tires and starting to look around than they are getting real serious and meeting with their agent. So this is a really good time to do it. And second, Mike,
That's crazy, because it is like they're just putting their toe in the water in like the beginning of the year, like, do I want to move this year or not? Like,
that's one advantage. And the other thing that I think is probably most important, and you guys who are doing all these opens, I'd like you to speak to this, but it's very important to remember that our objective at an open house, we talked about this at the CE class, our objective at the open house, regardless if you're a host at the open house or the listing agent, is to represent the seller to the best of your ability. Now, what happens with that is if you know everything about that house, you're going to be better than 95% of the realtors that these buyers who are unrepresented are meeting at other open houses. Because you're the one who is showing that you're the expert. So if you don't know anything about the house, make sure that the listing agent or the seller gives you a tour before you do it, tells you all the details of the home so that you can be the expert. I'm telling you right now, just being the expert, regardless if you're new or not, it's gonna make all the difference in the world with people saying they'd rather work with you.
That's it. So to speak to Rick, obviously, like I said, a lot of buyers run around there right now. Some of your buyers are running around there right now, looking at houses.
ours are all signed. I don't know what you're talking
Well,
about.
that's what I was just gonna get at. I've always said, and I don't represent buyers, obviously. I've always thought, why if you have, like, are so loyal to our, but a January 1, what a great opportunity to send out your buyer representation contract for the year, every year. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I know you're probably not, in the market to buy anything this year, but you know what? It's interesting. If something comes up that I see that I think would be a perfect fit for you guys, would you be interested in taking a look at it? Maybe this month, maybe never, but may happen. Let's go ahead and have a buyer representation contract signed right now for the year, but we don't have to go through that hassle and headache before we show you property. Just have all your clients sign for every year.
I do like that idea. Okay, so let's talk about the open house for a second. It kind of went, I like this conversation. When you're in the open house, how do you turn that into a lead or get their information, number one? How does that happen for you? Like, these are real struggles that people have, right? People walk in, they either don't sign in, they can't get their information. So how's everyone being successful at that?
So, not to, anybody that used to be a car dealer, but I hate car dealerships. They're like a necessary evil to me, because when I step out of my car onto the pavement, it's blood in the water, and I got sharks on me trying to sell me whatever. So at an open house.
Not as bad as Best Buy.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Ready to check out, sir? No, I'm still looking.
You don't need a new TV?
Well, I try to give them their space. Just an occasional, as they're walking by, hey, you guys been looking long? Or what's your current situation? Just trying to start mini conversations, trying to gradually build a rapport or some sort of conversation base. And in the meantime, if they're like in an area, I notice them, I don't try not to be the magnet where you're constantly where they are.
Yeah.
In the space, if you see them kind of looking over something for a long time, you've got information on it that makes you sound like the expert, like, you're the professional, offer it up. Because like Ben said here, they're looking for not just a real estate agent that, looks nice or, you know, whatever. They want to know what's on the inside. They want the person that's going to be the professional to represent them all the way.
The
And not-
connection piece.
Exactly. So try to be that professional in the room, offer them something that they may not get by just looking at it.
Yeah.
But, you know, spacing
How do you turn that into, like, once that connection's there, how do you turn that into getting their information to be able to connect outside of the open house?
I've had the benefit of learning from people like Bethany and, Billy Polly and others. It's, I've kind of gotten where I don't ever ask them if they have an agent.
Yep.
I try to get them close to the boat as I can. And if for the last second they say, oh, I have an agent, and they shake off, okay. But we've got this conversation going, to exchange maybe some information. They know me now, they've got my card in their hand, and if they don't like this guy, even if they said they signed with him and they didn't, I've had them kind of circle back to me once. So
Okay.
it's just kind of saying, it's really trying not to be over the top or zealous, but coming at them with your hat in your hand, humility, just kind of say, hey, you know, I don't know if this is you, but I get all my information off the MLS, and I think I could probably get you MLS with emails of the current homes that are available or those on the market. You'd be offended if I sent those to you?
Okay.
And you said, well, no, I wouldn't be offended. And it's kind of, you get their email address, and they're looking at as, you're providing them as a source of information.
You're the
If you
knowledge
get the
base.
Pocketbook, hammer them that way. So
Yeah.
it's just coming from trying to provide, what do you call it?
Coming from like contribution.
Contribution, thank you. That was the word.
Awesome. Chris,
So for the open houses that I've been doing, during the artisan tour, Tony and Shane were there I was at their home, and they were just like asking all the right questions, and I was kind of like enamored by them. And then this younger couple.
well, he's here.
I know, I see it.
Like, tell me more.
No, but seriously,
Yeah, yeah.
Tony was like, well, did you XYZ? And I was like, well, no. And like, I had finally realized that I was just pretty much being like a doormat. And
I think we talked about this, the whole doormat thing.
yeah, I know, yeah. I'm not a professional door opener, and I'm not a doormat either. So, I've been working on asking the right questions and listening to the questions he asks people that walk through has been so valuable. So, like, just not being afraid to ask the right questions, because as Rick says, you don't have it unless you ask.
Yeah.
You know?
To ask that question, everybody that comes to your open house, is this the right house for you?
Yeah.
Why would you ask everybody, I mean, before they leave, is this the right house for you?
Hmm.
As soon as they say yes, or it's a yes, fantastic.
Yeah.
If they say no, what's it missing?
Who asks that question at their open?
Writing that one down.
Like consistently.
I don't, it's too aggressive.
No, for sure. Why wouldn't you ask the money question?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that, why is that aggressive? Is this the right home for you?
Yeah.
So
No.
good
So
fit.
what's some of the questions that you ask that Chris likes? Or like, what are some of the normal questions that you ask to be able to connect and get information?
Oh, no, I don't have the person in front of me.
It was just really basic questions, like, where do you live? Like,
Okay.
just really non-intrusive questions that open up the door that you can come from contribution. And also, like, I'm a local expert. I'm the expert of this home. I've memorized the 28 pages of this build. Like, you can ask me anything.
So do you remember, it was probably what, 3 months, maybe 2 months ago, and we had one of the team meetings and we talked about questions, right? And the average questions that us as a room had was 5. And that's why I asked right now, right? Like, what are the questions you ask? Because usually if you're used to like asking questions, right, or writing questions down, they just come up. It's like, it's just part of who you are. Since that meeting, who's practiced writing questions? Or put any new questions into their Rolodex of questions that they ask people? And it doesn't have to even be clients. Who's practiced that at all? Oh, I'm glad we implement stuff from the meeting. Good to know.
Always have to.
I'm like, good to know. But I think I mean, we keep coming back to questions, right? And are we really good at asking questions? If you were to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, who would rate themselves at a 10 for asking questions?
Not me.
2 people, okay? What about a 9 out of 10 for asking questions? 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. Okay, what about a 8 out of 10 for asking questions? Okay, 2 more. 7, I don't like 7, like 6 out of 10. I would have doesn't want to make a decision, okay? 7 doesn't work.
7.5.
Okay, 6 to 7. But you guys see what I'm talking about? Like, if we're honestly, like, I would say 8 or below at asking questions, that's something you should be trying to get better at, right? Because the only way we're gonna get into relationship with people is by asking questions. That's how it's gonna happen, right? And the really great questions, can you think of someone that asks you questions that you walk away or have in your path and you're like, I want to be around that person more? Has anybody had that experience? Because I have.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me think about whatever it is, right? Where it's like, man, that's either going to help me with my personal or professional life, or it just made me think about that particular topic, right?
So just being around, been around Scott, just talking to somebody, and Billy,
Yeah.
and just hearing the questions they ask. It's that's how I'm kind of a learner that way, just.
Yeah.
Others. And Scott is, I mean, the questions he asks, it's like, that is so, why didn't I think of that, you know? But he nails them. I mean, even just like someone says, well, I don't know if I can afford this $1 million house because of the price. He says, are you a cash buyer or are you a payment buyer?
Yeah.
And he broke it down that way. And pretty soon they're thinking, hey, I can afford this house because I can afford these payments. The $1 million plus price tag, you're thinking, I can't pay cash. Break it down dollars and cents in your budget. And he's got them lured in and in the boat.
Yeah. I like that. Rick.
One primary objective at every open house with every person that walks in, and that is to find something in common with them. So the questions are specifically driven towards that. And so I ask the same question every time to every person. It's 5 years, and that is, where are you coming from? And they're like, my car. And I'm like, I mean, where do you currently live now? Yeah, I mean, we were just at where do you currently live now? That's a really good start, because if they're Eden Prairie, if they're Chanhassen, if there's somewhere that I can go close. Oh yeah, Eden Prairie, where in Eden Prairie? And then, oh, right over by Grace Church. Oh, did you go to Grace Church? So it's just find something in common, because that development of trust could happen very quickly, or enough trust that then they'll talk to you at the end when Tony's not bold enough, but Scott's bold enough to say, hey, is this the right house for you? Right? I mean, so that's the key. That's the key thing that well, it works.
What brings you into
This dynamic is.
Brings you into it.
fantastic.
Like, I get such a kick out of this. Every time I go to the bank, how can I help you today?
How can I help you today?
I walk in the bank and I'm like, there's only one thing that you can help with today. I'm not at the bank. So I always say, oh, Big Mac shake and a fries.
I'm using that.
Same thing with, hey.
Well, there are more things than that. It could be like a deposit, a withdrawal, but like, I mean, there are plenty of things you could do at a bank.
What brings you in today? I mean,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Well, we had time to kill, or we're legitimately doing.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, to Tony's point, you don't have to implement everything, right? But questions are something that, it's not just even business. Like, if you don't know how to ask questions, and all of a sudden then that's the end of the conversation, we've all been there. Like, our elevator is incredily slow. How weird is it when you are sitting in that elevator with someone you don't know and you're like,
Take the stairs.
cool, yeah, nice shoes.
Always down.
Like, right, am I wrong on this? Is that weird? Is it awkward when it's silent?
Long enough that I'll learn your life story, then you get them to laugh, and at that point, you hope you're on floor 2, and then you only have like one.
Okay, so you
Get off.
Well, right, like, there's different situations where like just having questions make things a little easier, and you might learn something. Wendy, I think you were in the elevator with a guy that's on floor 3, and he's now become a referral partner for you, right? And it was
Oh, what
as
the-
simple as asking questions in the elevator,
Money.
right? Like, these are the pieces where like, it's not, I bring this stuff up because again, I, on a regular basis, will write at least 20 questions down at a time. It could be the exact same question, 20 different ways, using different language. How do I start the question? How do I end the question? Which one feels right to me? Everyone says, I don't like scripts. Cool. Fine, like, then get your questions prepped and what feels right for you that's gonna get an answer that's not yes or no. Right?
My favorite question is how you're searching. Because you'll quickly find if they have realtor, if they're like, oh, well, I found this on Zillow, like you'll find out a lot very quick and you'll.
Great question.
We'll figure out how long they've been in it, if they're a neighbor, if they're whatever, but like, that's one of my favorite
Did you
openings.
guys hear her, what that question was? How's your search going?
I wrote it down. I wrote it
I
down.
mean, and it's open-ended, right? And there, it takes you on a whole nother level of connections. Wendy,
You know, two things. One is just, I think if you genuinely care about people and come from curiosity, you ask them a question and they answer it, and then that leads to the next question of the next thing you want to know. And just that, having that mindset of actually really genuinely wanting to get to know them and what matters to them always kind of leads to the next thing. And that just really becoming a good listener is half the battle right now. And then,
I think that's a fair point of salesperson versus what is, like, do you actually want to connect and gain a new client, right? Versus, I just need something. How many times have you went into an open or been somewhere and you're like, this person is so desperate right now, it feels gross. Like, I mean, no matter how many times you say no, it feels gross. I think about when I used to go, yes, to the Buckle, and like, you knew that they were on commission, and what?
Back in high school?
Yeah, back in the game.
Yeah, I love Buckle.
I was around when she was in high school, don't kid yourself.
It was incredible.
And it was like Buckle.
Yeah, I used to go there.
It was Wearing jeans
Perfect.
that had short legs.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was real.
Just looking at me like.
And he was like, what do you need? I was like, don't talk to me, right? Because I didn't feel like they were actually helpful. It was, they needed something from me and it didn't feel great. Chris,
Oftentimes, when a couple comes through and they're like really overwhelmed, they look overwhelmed. I'm like, do you want me to give you a tour? And then they're like, yeah. You know, and then sometimes I'll let people do their thing, like you said.
well, being
but-
able to read other humans, right? If they're putting up like a really, really strong, like, leave me alone, maybe even acknowledge that. Be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna let you do your thing, give you some space if you have any questions, right? If you come at that person, it's gonna feel yucky for everybody else that's in there. Because including yourself, right? And then you're gonna be like, I'm not good at this, and you're gonna start judging yourself. It's like, no, read them and just learn how to connect. Wendy, I think you had something else.
I did, the other piece you were saying, how do you get their contact information?
Yeah.
We have a little clipboard and say, you know, we love to give our sellers feedback on the home. And so if you won't mind giving us just a little feedback on here, we'll put your name in a drawing for a $25 Amazon card. And then usually at the end, when they bring us back the clipboard, there's another opportunity for some conversation. Then we can ask them, would you be interested in some, if, you know, when we talk about, is this the right home for you? If not, is this area the right area though? If we had others in this area, would you be interested in off-market opportunities? And then there, yeah, well, is this your correct email address so we can get a hold of you and phone them? Yeah, and is it better? We do have on there, are you working with an agent? If they put down the name and brokerage, I would say, do you want us to go through your agent or would you, you know,
Yeah.
if you're signed, that's usually do you want us to reach out to him if we find other ones? Yes, please do. Yes, we will do that. If they don't really have somebody, it's like Bob with such and such, okay, well, either you can.
You mean like a fake name?
Yeah.
Agent in there? Oh, okay. I was like a fake name. I think
But if
there's
they
something
do
to be.
have a real agent, then I reach out, tell them, I'm gonna tell your agent you were here today and thank him for sending you through. And I really work to honor that relationship and not get in the middle of that, because that does start to get creepy and unprofessional.
I think there's something to be said. I think there's other agents that do the clipboard too. But if someone hands you a clipboard, are you not more inclined to like fill it out? Or is that I mean, I wouldn't want to hand something and fill out. Okay, we're getting yes and no's here.
When you're not, when you smile, that's one thing, obviously in this world we live in with security part, I honestly think that when it comes to a house, you have to. register.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I don't want this case, you know, and if, and to your, you're listening, their own, being like, hey,
It's their home. It's like, I mean, you're coming into their personal
protecting
space.
myself. if it's something
Yes.
already-
Yep. Kidding.
Has anyone used the new, open house sign-in sheet that they have on command where you just use the listing and you can create like a QR code and have them sign in?
I did it once and they would say, they'd say, snap this to sign in. Oh, yeah, they snap it and then they pretend they're doing it and like,
Okay, so
You find the clipboard way worth it. Yep.
yeah, it was.
Right, I like to write, like, when they hand back to me, I'll be like, okay, Wendy, blonde in the flannel, and so then when I
Yeah.
like go reach out, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's who I was going.
Yeah, after they leave, we do make notes on that one.
like, as a little child ran around. Like,
Oh, that's like when I reach out, be like, okay, Wendy and I talked about this or this.
You know, what I'll do a lot of times is if they ask a question about the house, even if I know the answer, I just say, hey, I'm gonna double check on that just to make sure I get you the right information. Just throw your contact information down here real quick and I'll get you that answer as soon as I get it.
To that point, who still has brochures out at their open houses or like information? Okay, cause I haven't done it in a really long time, but I used to always use that as, hey, everything's electronic. Let me grab your email address so I can send it to you. Does anyone do that anymore? Am I like way behind times on that? You still do that?
I send the app right away. The app is really easy for them to get on, then you can see when they come back and start going with it. Can I say my broker moment real quick?
Okay.
Remember, the burden is on, ethically, you are obligated to ask if they're real. As soon as they are, you gotta think through this way ethically, how you're interfering, right? Because when they say to you, hey, we're looking to move really quickly, or we're looking to whatever, all that information, if you're representing the listing agent, you now owe to if you're representing the seller, you now owe that information that you just gathered to your client. And so it's a very easy to interfere. So you're ethically bound to ask the question, are you working with someone? They can lie to you, whatever. You can ask, they can say, if they say, yeah, I'm working with someone, you can ask, is that an exclusive relationship? And you can also ask, and what kind of properties are they representing you in? Like, but you have to, that burden is on you. If some comes back, that's why I always say you want to have the agency relationship exposure there. And you also want to make sure, this is just part of your habit, however you do it, to ask how I'm working. Are you working with another agent? Are you under contract with another agent? They could be working with someone and not be under contract. So you can ask a further question, but as soon as they're under contract with someone, you got to stop. And remember, they can lie to you, and then it's not your burden. But you got to make sure you ask the question.
Was there a question in the chat?
Terry wanted to know if you're just doing the open house, the seller isn't your client, are they?
They are because they're part of the brokerage.
Yeah. So whenever you do an open house, and this is where Brahma started, whenever you are doing an open house, you represent the listing side of that open. Because we don't do open houses cross brokerages. You're representing.
She also wanted to know if there's any legal ramifications to offering an Amazon card.
Drawing as a thank you for filling out.
Broker?
It's a marketing, it's a marketing.
Is there any legal ramifications?
That's a marketing.
It depends what you're giving it for, right? If you're getting it because they're a lead, then you can't do that, but otherwise.
Well, you're just saying, fill out your information and.
It's a drawing.
I need to have that to be able to.
There's
give you
ways
the
to
card.
get in trouble and ways not to, just be smart.
A drawing is fine. like.
A drawing is fine,
a
says
drawing-
Bethany.
A drawing is fine. Look, I've gotten in trouble for other ways of giving gift cards away, so drawings are fine.
Like, I know for experience,
I know
what you can actually get
If you'd like
fined
to
for
learn
and
about
what
that
you
later, I'm
can't.
happy to share.
Not on the recorded aspect either. Anybody else on open houses or kind of how to get information?
The cool thing is everybody's got a different approach and they all work. If you do it long enough and you just figure out your system.
Do you also, I mean, part of that is it works different for everybody because we're all attracting different clients, right? And I think that's where we get so caught in, yeah, but this is the way that person does it. But you might not be like Tony, right? You might not be like Bethany or Scott, like, do it the way that you feel comfortable, but is effective for you, because those are the people you're gonna connect with. Think about how you wanna be talked to in an open house or whatever you're looking for, whether or not it's a car or whatever, right? Think about how you wanna be approached, and it's probably gonna be most natural for you to do it that way, to be able to connect with people that are like you. Would you guys agree with that?
I think the key though is being able to ask good questions,
Yeah.
because no matter what, how you're I don't use a sign-in sheet. I don't use a clipboard, and I'd say I'm pretty darn good at converting, but that's because I do more of what, figuring out what they need and then how I can get that to them is via text or email. And then the other thing I'd say is Diana Kokoska taught, years ago, something called the question triangle, which we talk about as a team a lot. Like if you made a triangle and you put 3 lines through the triangle, so there were 4 slots. The base slot fill with the question why, which is actually a negative connotation question. So anytime you start a question with why, even if it's could be just like why, you're usually taking someone backwards or down, because usually that gives them permission to be negative. If you ask them a what question, you're moving them forward. Kami, what would cause you to write an offer on this house today? If you're asking them a how question, that's the next one. Same thing, how could we get this deal done? Like I ask other agents that all the time. Like if we're like if our clients are not agreeing, like how can we get our clients to a place where they both feel like they win? And then the top question is who? And I'll ask clients that, like, who do you need to achieve your real estate goals this year? And I think if you can get really good at knowing how to use the first word in a question, that helps a ton.
First of all, I feel like the who question is like a great, like who, they're like, well, I don't know who I need. Right? Like that opens up a whole different door for someone. Like, who do you need to achieve your real estate goals this year? Most of them are gonna be like, real estate agent? Fantastic. Who are you using? Right? And then it's like, no one. Now you're like, your foot is so far in the door at that point, you're like, let's meet, right? Like, that's a great point. Like, just all of those questions. Or go through that, right? Same topic and write questions for each of those and be like, okay, what feels right?
They're gonna be different for a buyer, a seller. I use them for coaching with our agents all the time. If the worst thing to ask an agent when they're already like, open houses don't work for me, why? Right? Now you're giving them an excuse to give you all the excuses.
Yeah.
But instead, if it's, I'm just gonna say it because she's sitting here, like, Jess, who could help you be better at open houses? Immediately we're in like solution mode. So you can use, but the questions will be different depending on who you're talking to.
Like that.
I heard Bethany explain that triangle before, and when she talked about who would help you. She also included another question to follow up to that was, what are you looking for in a real estate agent? What qualities do you look for?
Yeah.
So that kind of opened it.
And when you talk about what qualities, like what are the answers to that? I can think of 3.
Great communication.
Communication, trust. Right? And sometimes experience, right? Like, do you know whatever? But I'm like, there's not a lot of objection to questions, right? Unless you allow it to get out of hand and then they just go down a rabbit hole. But that's what people are looking for. Trust and communication. If you get those 2 things down and you can prove that in your, 2 minutes that you meet them in an open house, you are so far ahead of every other real estate agent. All right, let's go to our numbers year over year. So, units closed in December in 2022, we had 65, so we beat that with 73 this year. Closed volume, we were at 35 in 2022, or 35.7, and we were at 36.2 in 2023. Listings taken, I mean, as you can see, it's been low both Decembers. We were at 22 in 2022 and then 26 in 23. Listings taken volume, we were actually higher in 2022 at 15.6 versus 12.1. So that volume had went down a little bit. Listings sold, we had 36 this year and 30 the previous year. Listings sold volume, we were at 19.7. Previous year, we were at 19.2. Contracts written, we were at 81 in December, whereas we were at 69 in 2022. Contracts written volume were a little bit ahead of last year at 40.2 versus 38.3. And then closed GCI, we were at just shy of 1 million, so 932 versus 789. Profit share, right? We talk about profit share a lot. I don't know if you guys remember early in the year last year, there was not a lot of profit share, right? For various reasons. Last year in 2022, we were at 6,398, and this year we were at 22. Do you guys have any idea why that would be? Kevin, you don't get to answer.
There's a cap restructure, correct, or?
Well, yes, but that's not why this is different throughout the years, right? So in regards to our company, we're very open book. So, and we talk about this because it also helps you realize how to do your profit and what that looks like. So the year before, a lot of our agents were not capped, right? So we were collecting company dollar. Company dollar is part of that 13,000 that agents bring in, right? In this month, in December, our cap management, there were a ton of agents that were actually capped during the month of December, whereas we were not the year before. And it gives a pretty wide range on that piece of it. So when we look at that, we have to also look at where we put agents, right? So that the cash flow of the market center makes sense for people. Do you guys have questions around that at all?
Commissions went up by 0.3%.
They did.
From 22 to 23.
Yep.
Actually a pretty big increase.
That is a big increase. And I mean, is that just from people not discounting? Is that, you know what I mean? Anything else that contributed to that, Heather? I mean, any other way to?
Maybe on the BACs.
Yeah, BACs could have a part of it too. And part of broker admin fees, right? So we collect a piece on that. However, with closed units, we were actually higher, but that also has a cap. So for teams and individuals, that has a cap as well. So we are not just taking money from people all the time, right? So teams have a cap on their broker admin commission, and then so do individual agents. Those cap numbers are different. But we did have 5 teams cap on broker admin in like October or November. So that was also money not coming in. So when you look at that and you say, well, GCI was up, that just meant there was more money left in your pocket as an agent, which is a good thing.
It goes back to the agent for their commission.
Questions at all? All right, let's go through. We got about 5 minutes, so let's go through wants and needs. So something that came to our attention last week was sometimes people cannot have they can't hear in the meeting, right? So getting them to Lydia is really, really helpful because some people wait for that at the end of the day. And when you do, please say address, location, beds, bath, and price point, so that other agents can reach out to you. Also, if you took a listing, don't leave because we're doing spin the wheel. Spin the wheel. Wants and needs. Who's got some buyers or listings that are coming up? Last week we had like a lot of people talking.
We want coming up in Orno, $1.1 million.
Okay.
I think it was 5-bed, 4-bath, 3-car. It's probably built late 90s or early 2000s on 5 acres. It's got 4 acres of grass. Really private all the way around.
Okay.
That's 4875 Creekwood Trail,
Okay,
just west of that County Road 6 area.
awesome. Well, 1-1.
About 1,000,001.
Mixed use commercial property in Iron River, Wisconsin. It's a family property. Used to be a car wash and laundromat with a 1-bedroom apartment. Now it's a 2 office spaces, 1-bedroom apartment with 2 large garage stalls. Placement value is 800,000, looking at 400 per market or for pricing.
Anyone else?
A new one at Wayzata, we just listed in MLS.
Okay,
Kind of an empty nester style.
okay,
235. It'll be in parade coming up. And then we have 3 others that we're in process on. They'll be townhomes. They'll be really similar to what we built in Long Lake. It'll be central, kind of where built the East Casey split those duplexes and tiny little single family homes on central south. Be kind of right next to those.
okay. All right, anyone that didn't share theirs, get those to Lydia, she'll send them out in an email. And then if your name is up on this board, come up and spin for some cash.
And if we happen to miss you or anything, feel free to come up and give the wheel a spin.
Oh, yeah, she's like, I'm definitely spinning. that wheel.
Maybe we'll have to start with you next.
Yeah.
Like all in.
Team is always
all in on
going to ask
spinning
that
this wheel.
question, then we just got so
Right.
derailed.
Bethany,
I think it
how
was
many
just
times
like-
do you guys-
more than